Real golf, real golf talk. This is Play It Where It Lies, a Bash Brothers Media golf show and podcast.
That's right, we're back. Play it on your phone, play it in the car, play it on the course. Of course, just play it where it lies. I'm John Wiener. Stuart the Gent is out of the country. Hackin' Hank here in the seat. And Hackin' Hank, you played Royal Portrush a couple years ago, and I'm surprised that course is still open after the damage and destruction that you did to it.
Wow, we did our best to make it around that course and not make fools of ourselves, but there was a couple of...
We did make fools of ourselves.
I was about to say a couple of times where we really let our guard down and let them know what a bunch of dumb Americans had made it onto their course.
Well, we're better at talking golf, I think, and breaking it down and analyzing it than trying to play it.
I'm certainly better at talking golf than I am at playing it.
Well, glad you're here, and Brendan Porath's going to join us with SB Nation Shotgun Start Podcast, Golf Channel Morning Drive contributor. That's coming up later in the show. Had Brendan on, I'd say a month ago, to talk about the U.S. Open. You can't get much better than having Brendan.
He's really good, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Looking forward to that. Want to say real quick, big shout out. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been in here, but we did some cool stuff with Play It Where It Lies. We were out at Deerfield Golf Club, a new partner of ours, Deerfield Golf, DeerfieldGolf.club. The Deerfield Special and our Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame celebrity tournament in Annandale.
Yeah, it's fun to get out of the studio, be out there with the wind and the sun and the grass and stuff. It was hot at both of those locations,
really
but yeah, those are really fun videos to do, and I think they came out really well.
Well, we're glad you're with us, and we're glad we're back in here. A lot to get to with the Open Championship at Royal Portrush. And let's get into our tee shot now. And Hackin' Hank, I don't think that there's much more enjoyable in golf than Open Championship week.
I mean, I love everything there is about it. It's totally different golf like you've never seen before. It's sort of a different field. It's not always some of the same American PGA jabronis. There's a lot of European jabronis out there that sort of give you new looks, some different old guys. The open courses, have to see, must-watch TV just to see the courses themselves. Morning golf, I'm stoked about everything you could possibly do.
I think it's so unique in a way that, the Masters is unique in its own way, but it's the same thing every year. And we can talk about, the Masters all you want in terms of artificial and contrived, but there's a lot that they sort of just put on repeat and try to preserve. The Open, it's like it's anybody's ball game, and it is totally open in terms of the possibilities every year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll push back on that a little bit thinking about that. There's a way that the Open is interesting, and that it sort of has a repetitiveness to it every year because it is so unique from other golf, and the Open rota courses are more similar than other courses that we maybe play on the PGA Tour. So there is a bit of a return. It has that same sort of Masters feeling of returning to this land, returning to this type of golf.
Okay, yeah.
So see what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. It adds to that.
It has
sort of a
its
pilgrimage
own sort of
and
pilgrimage.
this sacred
return.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a good point. It is what makes it special. Now, what's interesting this year, of course, is we're out of the Open Rota. We're out of Scotland and England all to begin with, and in Northern Ireland at Royal Portrush. Now, you and I had a chance, lucky enough, to play Portrush a couple of years ago. Just your thoughts, Henry, on the Open going to Portrush this year.
Well, I mean, it's really exciting for me. One, just as a viewer who's likes to see a new course. Portrush is historic. It's renowned. It's oceanside. It's beautiful. We've seen St. Andrews in past years. We saw Carnoustie, neither of which were oceanside courses.
Right.
Portrush really out on the
vistas,
ocean.
The views are going to be Turnberry-esque, I think, in that sense.
Yeah, it is really scenic. Lots of beautiful elevation. Maybe more elevation than you see in some other open courses. And just really excited to see. Northern Irish golf, a new golf course, and beautiful historic Portrush.
One thing that I remember about Royal Portrush is it's just obscenely hard. It's a brute of a golf course in a way that some of the links courses in the Rota, your Lythams, and sometimes can play easy, can play short, can play flat. None of that is in play at Portrush. It's a big, monstrous, hilly, long, penalizing Bethpage-esque kind of course over there. Like, that's what I remember from it. Now, my head was like this the whole time and like kicking it around in the weeds. And we'll get into that later in the show in Tough Lies in terms of some of the things you have to deal with in playing links golf and taking your own trips. But that's what I remember about Portrush, Henry, is how fucking hard it is.
I think Portrush was probably the hardest course that we played on that entire trip,
including
some really, really big time courses. I mean, it is long. It's wider than
wide
than some of the other open courses. It doesn't have that sort of like, persnickety feel. You got to shoot a little iron.
Right.
The longest, straightest club sort of deal. You got to kind of fit it in there. Portrush, you've really got to blast the ball. You've got to hit big iron shots, big drives, lots of carries,
and also you've got to move it both ways. You got to hit it high, low, and there's no outs over there. It's not like St. Andrews. Sometimes you can just bang it left on a few holes and like you're good. I'm excited to see what I think what is going to present a really difficult task. And I'll just close like the going to Northern Ireland and that community and the kind of, I think, nostalgia, and there's some charm at Portrush.
Portrush has a little more of a rustic feel than some of the more polished open rota courses in Scotland, for example. When you go to Turnberry, it's very sort of hoity-toity or whatever.
Right.
Portrush is a little more rural, a little more rugged.
Yeah,
that's the
it's
right
a much
word.
more rugged course, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so it does have a different feel, and one that's got to be exciting for players and viewers alike.
Rain expected all week. It's going to make that course longer, and we're going to get into and play it, drop it, roll it, and certainly with Brendan Porath, the big names, what's going to win this week, who are the top storylines. But again, so much of the conversation with the Open is the venue and the placement, certainly in the PGA season. We'll get into that too. Let's re-tee it in terms of just some Open memories. What are your top 2 or 3, or what first comes to mind when you think about the Open Championship?
Well, I mean, the Open Championship has produced such good golf recently.
Yeah.
All of my like best Open memories seem to be the past few years because they've been so good. The ones that really stand out to me would be the 3-way tie, the 3-way playoff at St. Andrews that year with Jordan Spieth, Dustin Johnson, and then eventually
the one
Louis,
that Zach Johnson won.
and then eventually
what a
Louis
tournament that
Oosthuizen and
was.
Zach Johnson. I mean, Saturday was amazing. It came down to the wire on Sunday for 12 different
So
world
many
class
guys in the mix. Adam Scott, Jordan Spieth,
Jason Day was there. So many guys, and then ended in a 3-hole playoff that we followed from a plane flying.
Well, what was
back.
funny is we were at St. Andrews, and so many people, because I think it was a Monday. It was a Monday finish because of all the rain and the wind. That was the year when they had to call off play because the wind was moving the golf balls. And Dustin Johnson stalked around the course like he owned the place for 36 holes, and then looked like he didn't even want to be in Scotland for the last 2 days of it. But yeah, to have that backed up and like we got off the plane and or the plane lands and everyone's waiting on the winner, and it was like this big audible groan from the entire plane. Zach Johnson won it after all of those guys in the mix. But that's a good one. I mean, it's hard for me not to go back to two of the most memorable losses in golf history, and really in sports history, and I say losses, guys who didn't get it done. Obviously, Jean Van de Velde at Carnoustie. I mean, that's up there in the pantheon of all-time sports collapses.
Any tournament, any sport ever.
But that's what you get, right? At Carnoustie, that 18th hole, what a quirky, ridiculous hole. And like at the Open Championship, you might have a guy climb down in the burn, you know what I mean? Or get lost in the weeds. But it's Van de Velde and then obviously Tom Watson in Turnberry. It was 2007. He really captured the entire attention in the world. 59 years old and had an 8-footer on his putter to win it. And then Stuart Sink has to come back and play him in the playoff. But those two are the ones that come to mind. And then certainly like recently Mickelson's win at Muirfield to shoot 66 on Sunday or whatever he did, and the Mickelson Stinson duel.
That's the one. That's for me at Royal Troon.
Sure.
Stinson versus Mickelson. I mean, has to be one of the most thrilling Sundays of golf you've ever seen of all time.
It was one of the best Sundays of golf you've ever seen. And that was an example where like Troon kind of laid down a little bit. I don't think you're going to see 17, 18 under. I would be surprised. I think you're going to see more like 7, 8, 9 under win this tournament. Go ahead.
Well, we'll see. I might push back on that a little bit.
And even last year, I mean, just think back last year, Molinari and Tiger heads up on a Sunday. I mean, Tiger, what he did to capture the magic, and then Molinari just stared him down and beat him on the back nine. That was a fantastic Open as well.
One thing that the Open continues to get right is, like the best tournaments that are well set up, it continues to bring the best golfers to the top of the leaderboard at the end. We've seen so many Opens recently where really the best players in the world are right at the top. They all have a shot, and it's really exciting golf.
The one winner that I remember, and what a tournament this was, that wouldn't fall into that was Darren Clark when he won a few years ago. I mean, at 48 years old, you remember DJ, Shanks won on the 14th hole. Mickelson was big in that one, but you can also get your Tom Watson and your Darren Clark, and that is all the more what I love about the Open Championship. Now, I don't think that's in play this week. Like,
Tom Lehman's not gonna.
No, I think Portrush is not gonna cater to your 48-year-olds and 58-year-olds, but that is in play, at the Open Championship, and even Ernie Els when he won, to come at 41, 42, whatever he was, it kind of gives guys a chance to turn back the clock a little bit.
It does, and that is a particularly maybe a particular style of golf that can be played at the Open that is conducive to that. I agree with you. I think that's out the window this week at Portrush. It is just too much of a monster of a course.
Real quick, let's get into our awards and then Play It, Drop It, Roll It coming up, everybody's favorite segment. We got some big ones, including some Irish food and cuisine stuff.
Can I roll the whole thing?
We're going to dive into.
The whole thing?
We give our Play It Where It Lies awards, again, sometimes in life, sometimes in golf. It's all about how you deal with tough spots and tough situations. I'm going to give it out to a couple of old guys. Jay Haas, how about this past weekend? 65 years old, nearly won the Senior Players Championship. He would have been the oldest professional winner by 3 years. So for him to put together that kind of round, really out of nowhere, 65 years old, still getting it done. Jay Haas playing it where it lies. And then Retief Goosen gets his first win.
Retief!
Our dad, for whatever reason, is a huge Retief Goosen fan, which makes no sense for a New Yorker who lives in Mississippi to be such a fanatic of a South African who says nothing and shows zero emotion. But man, does he swing the golf club. Retief's one of those guys, when you see him up close, like he's one of those, like, man, he just hits it a little different and swings it a little different, and finally got the job done to win his first major on the Champions Tour.
50 years old, first time in the tournament. He got the job done. That's a mark of a good player. Speaking of, I'm going to give my award for fighting through some adversity to Northern Ireland.
Okay.
The site of this year's Open Championship. When you and I visited Northern Ireland, we went to Belfast and were able to take a tour of the Troubles, which, as you know, was a fight between Protestants and Catholics in Northern Ireland. Lots of death, lots of fighting, really, really difficult, brutal times that was tearing that country apart, was tearing that area apart.
More than I ever understood, and I think more than anyone understands over here, the Troubles, Northern Ireland, the death and carnage and destruction and everything.
And hatred and animosity between neighbors, more than I remember anything about Portrush or any of the golf that we played over there. That tour, learning about the Troubles, seeing the walls, the graveyards, the bomb sites, and to some extent the neighborhoods that are still affected by it today. But Northern Ireland has been able to work through that. As you know, there has not been a major tournament played here in 60, 70 years, specifically because of that.
Right.
And so to have fought through that, to have made as much progress as they have, to be able to bring major championship golf, the entire world, all of these visitors back to Northern Ireland. Congratulations to them.
No, it's a great point. And of course, leave it to Hack and Hank to bring on the historical take on Play It Where It Lies. But it's a great point. And also, playing it where it lies in terms of they have moved on and progressed in so many ways, but it is very present over there, and in the true sort of Irish way, they don't hide it.
Right.
They don't make any bones about it. There are monuments and murals for both sides everywhere, and they live with it and they talk about it in a way that sometimes even over here and in some of our world conversations, this they don't put their head in the sand.
No.
You know what I mean, about what happened, and it's very open in terms of moving on from the history, but also honoring it and remembering it. I think it's a great award. It really is.
Do you think they're going to talk about it at all during the broadcast this week?
I would hope that they would, and I would encourage people to seek out. I've already read so much great stuff about it already. Eamon Lynch, who's a scribe for the Golf Channel. There are going to be some great pieces, I hope. I don't know that it will make the mainstream broadcasts in terms of the troubles and all of the historical context about why they haven't been in Northern Ireland in 70 years. But I no doubt will be seeking out, and it's great that you mention it because I want to find those. There will be, I would hope, some great stuff, written and maybe even said on TV about that part of it.
Well, also interesting to me to think about, this tournament is unique. There are not any tournaments that come to mind that have this sort of historical sort of heaviness sort of hanging on them. I mean, I can't think of any venue that golf has played at recently where there's a sort of a backstory as heavy and as important as this one. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of coverage comes out about that.
No, it's a good point, and it's such a unique week every year. The Open Championship, one of the best weeks of the year in all the sports, certainly for golf fans. And I think this year, even more than ever, with it being at Royal Portrush and all the storylines and the players that are in play and some of the key questions. And that, of course, we will tee up next in Play It, Drop It, Roll It. This is Play It Where It Lies, the good, the bad, the hard in golf. Hack and Hank, I'm John Wiener. You can get us, of course, bashbrothersmedia.com. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter. You're listening to the podcast. You can get Play It Where It Lies wherever you get your podcasts. It's simple enough, and not so simple. Play It, Drop It, Roll It. That's next.
Golf puts you in tough spots. We play it where it lies.
And we're back on Play It Where It Lies. I'm Hack and Hank here with John Wiener.
It's good to have you here, but I wonder about our friend across the pond, the gent. Stuart is in Hungary right now.
He is way across the pond.
He's way across the pond. They're not playing that much golf in Hungary right now. But shout out to the gent. We look forward to welcoming him back.
I wonder how much golf they play in Hungary.
Part of Stuart's whole deal over there right now is scouting out the golf. Like, Stuart is trying to lay out the rest of his life with all that Stuart Conway money. He can just live 3-4 different places. But I know one big thing in our talks is like what the golf situation is in Hungary. But I know the gent's going to be locked into the Open Championship all week.
Wouldn't that be your first question as well if someone was trying to get you to move to Hungary?
Yeah, totally. There's no doubt. Like, any decision that I'm making in terms of like livelihood and where I'm living, it's like what kind of golf is there?
Yeah, I understand. So back to the golf here, coming up this week. And might I point out, golf just continues to get more exciting.
Yeah.
I just don't. The PGA, has just got it so right now.
I think so too.
These tournaments, the storylines, the level of play, the courses that they're playing at. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Year after year, these tournaments are just getting me just wildly excited.
Well, I think it is in golf. There's a few things that have made that so. Certainly golf, it feels like just getting a little more popular in the mainstream as it becomes a little cooler. But I think that much like you had in the NBA kind of 15 years ago, where you had two different generations playing at the top of their game. You had LeBron and everybody in the league playing right away, but you still had all of the old guard, Garnett and Duncan and Iverson and all of those guys. And all of a sudden, you had this massive depth that you had never seen before. I think because the young guys are so good right now and have become such stars, Koepka and Day and McIlroy and DJ, but then also your older guard of Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson and Adam Scott, those guys are still relevant also, and Justin Rose. And so it's almost like you double down. Yeah,
I mean, we're sort of seeing the fruits of that sort of Tiger rise and layoff. I mean, it's a little similar to Michael Jordan. You had that little bit of a lull. Basketball wasn't really sure what they wanted to do.
Post-Jordan, right, when you're in the sort of early 2000s, Iverson, Marbury.
Stephon Marbury was like the most exciting player. Similar here, there was a period of time.
It took the young guys that Jordan had really groomed and set an example for. Your LeBrons, right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the PGA and professional golf is at that point right now, as you said. It's just hard to imagine it being better than this.
You hit the nail on the head, except that the monotony of the PGA Tour throughout the season, like the John Deere Classic, I had zero interest in last week. And I will just say, on the other side, where golf is getting more exciting, the European Tour was phenomenal. Yeah. The playoff at the Scottish Open was incredible. Yeah. Champions Tour with Retief Goosen and those guys, battling it out. The Champions Tour was awesome. And even the LPGA Tour was phenomenal. Once again, Lexi Thompson and Kim on a Sunday straight up. So the other tours continue to be in a better place.
Yeah, was that a rising water raises all boats or some saying like that?
I don't think that's the same.
It's something like that.
I don't think that's what's happening.
I do think you're right. I mean, the golf world across multiple tours is really strong right now.
Let's get into play it, drop it, roll it here.
Play it, drop it, or roll it.
Tough questions, tough spots, big statements, and we got to decide whether we're going to play it, drop it, and you have an occasional roll. We try not to, though, but sometimes it just necessitates it. Open Championship as the last major. Play it, drop it, roll it.
I'm dropping this in a major way.
Okay.
You know, I saw some people say that they like the idea that the Open Championship is the last major. It's where golf started, and it's where it ends at the end of the year. Okay. It is so long until April. Golf is about to be over.
But wasn't it always that way?
It was always that way, but
now it's even longer.
Now it's even longer. Yeah. Now it's even worse. And you know, I agree. You know, it's maybe more about the PGA where it has moved and about how you like that change and what it means for the Open. But no, I'm going to drop it. I do not like the Open being the last tournament of the year. What do you think?
I'm going to drop it also, and in a way that, you know, because we did this early in the year, and I said, no, I'm playing it. I like the schedule change. Having gone through it and feeling it, and where the Open now is, it just, something doesn't seem right. And I know that sometimes it's, you got to get used to a new thing, but it felt like, as we talked about, the PGA got buried a little bit, just being where it was in the calendar season. And now for some reason, I like the PGA still to come after the Open Championship. It seemed to make more sense to kind of build that way. It's like there wasn't a build in this season.
PGA totally got lost, in my opinion. Diminished that. I mean, dude, I know who won it, but like you barely remember the PGA at all. And you know, if I'm sitting here right now, what I would say is, I wish that there was another big time golf tournament coming in a month.
Yeah, it's like
from
you
now.
got nothing out of the PGA in May, and now you wish that you still had it in August. Yeah, I agree.
Glory's last stand. So next up, Brooks Koepka. I almost said Bruce. Brooks Koepka, the man to beat.
I'm going to play this one wholeheartedly. I think it's got to be Koepka most every time now, just when you look at what he's done in the major championships. And keep in mind, this guy was right there at the Masters, right there at the U.S. Open, and he won the PGA Championship. I think Brooks Koepka, certainly for this golf course, I think it's going to be big, it's long, it's punishing. You got to strike it well, you got to hit it a long way. Absolutely, Brooks Koepka's the man to beat. The fact that he's not the favorite in this tournament, I think, is ludicrous, and it's more fuel for Koepka, chip on his shoulder, all this nonsense. I think Koepka is absolutely the man to beat.
I am going to agree with you 100%.
Okay.
I'll play it. I couldn't have said it better. Okay. Let's move on. He's the man to beat.
Tiger's chances to contend.
I am going to drop this.
Okay.
I've got to agree with a few of Tiger's critics, Patrick Harrington recently, and some others who have talked about not playing, not being ready for golf. I mean, just as a amateur hacker golfer, you know how important it is to play regularly. There is almost no greater factor on how you're playing than when you're playing regularly.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. Not only do I not think this is a great course for Tiger, but I do think that not playing, taking these weeks off, he said he didn't even pick up the club, can't be good for him. He's never played Portrush before in his life. So to think that he's going to show up and battle the Brooks Koepkas, John Rahms, and Rory McIlroys of the world who are at the top of their game, playing recently and playing well, I just can't see it.
We're going to talk with Brendan Porath about this coming up as well, and looking forward to get his take on it. I'm going to play it because I'll just say a few things. First of all, you know, Tiger never really, and it surprised me that I'm playing it. First of all, Tiger never, I mean, Tiger's, that's been his whole MO in terms of sitting it out and playing that major schedule. I don't think he's like good enough anymore. I don't think the margin is too thin for him to sit out and still play and contend. But I just think that it's more along, will he win? No, but chances to contend, yeah, I'm going to play it. I think it's Tiger. I think it's Tiger Woods.
I think this is
and he's proved time and time again that all of these things that you've said, he disproves it and continues to, you know, do things that no mortal can do on the golf course, going right back to winning the Masters the way he did at 43.
This is not Augusta. This is not Carnoustie. This course is going to play a lot more similar to Bethpage
and
that we
Tiger's
saw.
coming in with a rusty game, with a leaky game. Yeah,
I'll be surprised if he makes the cut.
You're probably right,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I don't know. I'm gonna give Tiger a chance.
Okay, next up, Royal Portrush Toughness.
I'd play it all the way. I mean, Portrush is a brute. This one's going to be really hard. I think it's the hardest open course that the PGA, that the guys will play since like Carnoustie and Muirfield. You know, Muirfield was like 3, 4, 5 under, whatever it was. We know how hard Carnoustie can be. This one is a little different. It's more of a brute. It's more rugged, as we said. It's bigger than Carnoustie. Muirfield is kind of big in that respect, but I think I'd be surprised if it gets to 10. Like, we'll see, but I think it's going to play really hard.
When we played Royal Portrush, I ran out of golf balls by like the 8th hole.
You can run out of golf balls at LaFleur's Bluff.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's neither here nor there. But the point is that you and I know that this is a really difficult course. But I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to drop this. I actually think the scores are going to surprise people. I think that Portrush is not going to be as difficult for these golfers as some people think. Here's a couple of thoughts for you.
Do tell.
Yeah. For one thing, Portrush has the least amount of bunkers of any open course ever played in the championship.
Wow, Hack and Hank did
right.
some research. How about that, Juice?
Least amount of bunkers. It is the widest and one of the longest courses. It really plays much more like a big brute of an American course, much more like a Chambers Bay, much more like a Bethpage than any of these other courses we've seen recently.
Yeah.
When we saw Rory McIlroy and we saw these guys in the practice round, they were bombing at 325 into greenside bunkers. And when you can bomb at 325 into a greenside bunker and have a 60-yard shot out of the bunker, none of these guys are going to be afraid to hit their drive. I know it's really long. This is a driving course. You can cut corners off. Guys who can power the ball and drive it accurately. If there's not crazy wind, I really think that this course can be gotten.
It's well said. I think it's a better point than I make. I mean, I played the toughness, but that was convincing. I could see it.
Yeah,
Well said.
I just think that these days
There's not much
just
that's tough.
not
I know,
much they
I know.
can do.
It's true.
There's just not much they can do because they have to set it up for the possibility of big time wind. If that big time wind is not out there, I think we're going to see really low scores out there.
Well, it's differing takes, but I think it's a good argument.
Yep.
This is me here.
Yeah.
The Open Championship is the #1 major.
I'm dropping it. I'm Augusta all the way. I'm going with the Masters as the best tournament till I die. I mean, I understand. I maybe even sort of enjoy watching the Open Championship more, but no, I mean, it's still Augusta for me. It's still the green jacket. It's still Amen Corner. It's still I know. It hasn't been unseated. It's close, but I'm dropping it.
Yeah, I'm going to drop it also and give it to the Masters in a very close one. I also think the Masters, it being in springtime, and the Masters is so synonymous with the awakening of spring and the first golf tournament of the first big one of the year, the first major championship. As I grow to, I think, appreciate difference and variance and uniqueness in this world of an echo chamber. I think the Open is growing in that respect to a lot of people's sensibilities. Like, we want new, we want different. It's like there's such saturation of everything, right? Like, even with the Masters and Augusta. But I'll go with the Masters still. I agree.
Yep. Okay. Some of these people over there in Northern Ireland are going to be drinking Guinness beer. Play it, drop it, roll it. Guinness as a beer.
I'm going to roll it because I think the Guinness here in the States, like if you get Guinness out of a can here in the States, it's not good. It's like not a beer that I really want to drink. And I think even in the pubs here, we don't have pubs, first of all. I think we have bars. Like, you would agree with me. Like, I'm going to roll it. Like, if I'm over there, if I'm in Ireland, then I'm playing it. But if I'm over here, like, let me ask you this. Like, when was the last time you ordered a Guinness in the States? Like when we're over there, we drink them like water.
We got a Finian's around the street. I'll get a Guinness.
I'd never even get a Guinness at Finian's.
Okay, well, I'll take this because I am going to play this.
Okay.
I think Guinness is one of the best beers of all time.
Yeah, but we don't do it right here.
But Guinness is still really good over here.
Okay,
I mean, I would. Guinness is versatile. You can drink it early. You can drink it late.
Breakfast beer.
It can be a change up.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I think Guinness is one of the all-time beers here, there, anywhere, on a train, on a plane. Yeah, I'm playing that in a big way. Give me a Guinness. In fact, what are we doing after the show?
Yeah, I know it's right. As soon as we're talking about this, I'm like really wanting to drink
really
a Guinness.
ready to Guinness. Okay, play it, drop it, roll it. Rory has a home course advantage.
I'm going to drop it. I think it's working the other way against him. I know that he has the experience there and he's played Portrush some. Okay, it's not exactly his home course. You know what I mean?
No,
he didn't grow up playing Portrush. He has played it before and played well there, and he's, a Northern Irishman. I just think that it's all the more pressure and distraction, and McIlroy's a guy that I think plays his best golf when he's kind of left alone. I think that and we've seen it here locally. Like when Jonathan Randolph plays the Sanderson every year, Country Club of Jackson, and I've seen him and talked with him about it as the de facto tournament host with the media obligations and your host dinners and all of that it is a negative impact because you just want to, in a week in golf, you want to focus on golf. I think all of this is just going to create a lot more pressure for Rory to perform with his own head from the galleries, and I don't think the experience that he'll have with the course will outweigh the negatives about it. Not only do I not think it's a home course advantage, I think it's a negative for Rory that he is in the spotlight in this way this week.
I'm going to drop it as well, having an advantage. I'm not positive it's a negative that it's his home course. I agree, all of that pressure stuff, and we know that Rory is sort of a question of mindset and pressure and stuff. I think it can be a real disadvantage if you have never played a course and you're lacking the course knowledge that some of these other guys have. But I think when you look at the players, the Francisco Molinaris, even Brooks Koepka, who's caddy, is from Portrush itself. Like, there's so many guys. They're all so well prepared. They've all played it. They've all got their little books with like thousands of stuff. Like, I don't think that there's a huge advantage for having played the course.
I don't think Brooks
Koepka
like cares that some guys have played it more than he has. Well, you know what I mean? It's a good point. Like, it makes no difference to Koepka in terms of nor how he plays the course.
Yeah, I mean, the story for some people who don't know is that the current course record at Royal Portrush is right now still held by Rory McIlroy, who shot a 61 at 16.
I know. It's crazy. And Rory talks about, and that's what is so refreshing about Rory, and that's what's so to the point about McIlroy, is he's come out himself and said, I wish I had more of that Rory in me, that teenager, like, I'm going to go stupid low. Like when Rory came on, his ability and his reputation and the legend of how low McIlroy could go, we rarely see that now. And he says, I have so much doubt now. It's like, I think maybe that's your chance this week, is that McIlroy kind of bottles that. But it is interesting that he's his lowest score there is when he's 16.
It's like one of those, the question was, which player would you like to have wished they could play their whole career without injury? It'd be Fat Rory. For me, man.
Yeah, I know.
Man.
That's what I mean. Let's get back to that was like
that was the Rory that people fell in love with.
Yes.
The chubby, the curly haired, the swashbuckling.
Shotmaker.
Blow your mind.
Shotmaker.
He was so little and so young.
And just played with such flair and panache and such aggressiveness.
And love for the game, his fans, and his country.
Yes.
He put on for Portrush.
He did.
Put on for the Irish Open.
He did.
People loved him for that. Now he's skipping tournaments. He's living in Florida.
He's jaded.
He's working out. He doesn't care. He's money man.
That's a good point. And it's fascinating how Rory is open himself. Like, I wish I kind of had a little bit more of that. But again, that Rory didn't have $75 million in the bank either.
No.
Would you rather be Fat Rory who can shoot 61, or like not Fat Rory but you've got like a bajillion dollars, like Stuart Conway money level, bank account?
Money talks.
That's what I mean, man. Like, we'll see if Rory really wants to
Rory
go back
doesn't
to
really
that.
want to go back to those days where he was using the urinals with everybody else.
Speaking of going back and using urinals, Irish pub food, play, drop, roll.
I mean, I don't. Is this a serious question?
Some people are like down on the Irish food. They're like, oh, you can't get any good food in Ireland.
I mean, like, I guess if you want like a Caesar salad or like something over there, like, come on. Irish pub food is where it's at. I'm playing this big time.
Play it all
the way. Is
there
anything better than eating Irish pub food at night, getting slammed on Guinness, and then coming right back for that Irish pub food the next morning.
day.
Man,
Yeah, sure.
I'm telling you what, Irish pub food, I'm taking it all. I'll play the whole thing. Give me the haggis, give me the Scotch eggs, give me like everything they got on the menu.
No, but see, I'm not gonna go there though. Like that's the thing. It's like it's not even the Scotch egg and the haggis. It's like you're getting fish and chips, you're getting bangers and mash, like chicken curry.
Yeah.
Like chicken curry is a staple Irish pub food, and like people are not, but you can get curry like anywhere. It's all
so
banging,
good.
injected into my veins,
All right.
man.
All right, we're gonna have to find some good pub food.
I think that's gonna be our mission this week: is let's eat and drink as much Irish stuff as possible.
Okay.
Like, like
Agreed.
the Open Championship is fun, you know
Deal.
what I mean? Like always, and you can do the kind of, English fare, but it takes a step up, I think, in some ways when you're talking about the Irish traditions and cuisine.
Yeah. Okay, last one.
Okay, sure.
Francesco Molinari repeating this year.
I'm going to play it. Now, this is like, I'm not going to give away the pick quite yet. Like, and this is, I think it's repeat factor is what's in our note. I think Molinari's prime for a big week. I think that this course is going to suit the guys who just hit it more pure over 4 days than anybody else. I think Molinari, in the same way that he was at Bethpage, in the same way that we saw last year, I think Molinari is going to be on the first page of the leaderboard. I think he, behind Brooks Koepka, as we talked about, Koepka's the man to beat. I think if you look behind, I'm not sure that it's DJ or Rory or Tiger. Certainly, I think it's Frankie Molinari, Frankie Money.
I'm going to disagree. Okay. I'm going to drop it.
Okay.
I really don't. He's Molinari. He's going to be there. He's going to play well.
Frankie Molinari!
Frankie Money, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to disagree. I really think, and I'm also not going to give away my picks too much, but I just think this course is so much different than the other courses we've seen him succeed on. Now, Frankie Money, he doesn't hit it. He's not a short hitter.
No,
he hits
not
it
at all.
really, really
Yeah.
far. So he will be there. But I think this is a little different animal, and we'll get into that with my picks.
Well, we're going to get into more with the Open Championship with Brendan Porath, and we've had such a great list of guests all year, and Brendan certainly takes a back seat to nobody. SB Nation Shotgun Start podcast. You see him on Golf Channel Morning Drive all the time, and Brendan will join us next. Hack and Hank, I'm John Wiener. Reminder, we're brought to you by Gulf States Golf Cars, Highway 51 in Ridgeland, gsgolfcars.com, and our new partner, that's right, and now the other one, Deerfield Golf Club in Gluckstadt, deerfieldgolf.club. Go see Ollie Thompson, Billy Allen, and the guys. We appreciate them and really had a lot of fun out at Deerfield a couple weeks ago. Going to be fun talking Open with Brendan Porath coming up next.
The good, the bad, the hard in golf. This is Play It Where It Lies.
Play It Where It Lies, our Open Championship preview. It's going down in Royal Portrush at Northern Ireland, and happy to welcome in to preview it all right now, SB Nation Brendan Porath. Of course, you can get him on the Shotgun Start podcast. See him on Morning Drive on the Golf Channel. Great Morning Drive contributor, and Brendan's with us on Play It Where It Lies. Brendan, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Fired up here. Not ready for the major season to be over, but the Open's my favorite major, so fired up to talk about it.
Well, and I want to get into both of those kind of right off the bat, where the Open falls this year and it being the last major. But I know you're excited. I read your piece this morning on SB Nation. So just tell us a little bit why you think the Open, even over the Masters, Brendan, is the number one major.
Yeah, I think it's just... It's like picking your favorite child. It's not to denigrate the Masters in any way, shape, or form, or to downgrade that. It's just more an appreciation or celebration of the Open, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it's just so quirky, and the Masters is so unique in its own way, and it's really hard to make a choice here. But I've just really come to love how the Open presents itself on TV. I think it's really unlike anything we get all year. And the Masters is certainly that too. I think, but it approximates some of the golf we see in the States throughout the year. Not exactly, but we can see that kind of green parkland golf course often. I think the time change, there's just like, there's these touchstone moments of like, I remember where I was or what I was doing and who I was with, having brunch or maybe a Bloody Mary or something on a Saturday in 2007 and 2013, like all these different times that the Open just for me has really come to have a personal resonance. And I think I hear that a lot more and more over the last 5 to 6 years, because it is on a heater right now, guys. Like really since 2012, just the winners, the caliber of the champions, and kind of how it's played out on different Sundays and weekends has been, I'd say, the strongest of all 4 majors.
Yeah, Brendan, I'm really excited for this tournament. I'm really looking to see it at Portrush. Curious what you think about it being the 4th and final major now. How does that play into the Open being the best of all of the majors?
I don't know. I think we'll probably hear a lot about that this week. I don't think it matters that much for the Open, for the Open specifically. I think that's more of like a PGA discussion, I believe. Like I think like the impacts there are going to be seen or should be studied and analyzed more closely. Like obviously their ability to go to certain venues is expanded in some areas and limited in others, and will it be more popular or less popular now that it's not in August? I think like that's where that discussion really happens. I think the Open is the Open, no matter what. It's coming usually 3-4 weeks after the U.S. Open. It's coming in July. We know when it's going to be, and whether it's last or third, it doesn't really matter. I don't think. Maybe being last will elevate its resonance a little, or elevated its popularity a little bit, because it's our last chance to watch golf for a long time until April. Major golf, I should say. Obviously, we'll still watch golf throughout those months, but major golf until April. So maybe it'll elevate it because it's that last-ditch effort. But again, this is a super slow sports week, except for golf. But that's always been the case. Whether the Open was 3rd or 4th, it's always been kind of a slow golf or a slow sports week in the States. And it's been a chance to really, take a bit of the stage that maybe you can't get in May when the PGA is competing with, NFL or NHL and NBA playoffs and things like that. So I don't think it changes much for it. It's just in the same spot. It's just now last.
Brendan, I couldn't agree more in terms of all your comments on the Open Championship and what makes it so unique, and remembering all of those moments. I mean, I can remember that Tom Watson Sunday, literally every step of where I was watching that. But, in terms of the PGA discussion and the scheduling, I was in favor of the shift at the start. I thought it made a lot of sense, balancing out the schedule, getting the PGA more in May. But I get the sense, Hack and Hank, my host, does, feel this way as well, that it doesn't quite feel right. I don't know. I was more in favor of the shift and the changing of the players and the PGA and the Open before it happened, when they made it. And now that we're experiencing it, I don't know that I love it as much. How do you kind of get at it from that angle?
I think I'm with you. I really like going through it has made me sort of nostalgic for the prior schedule, the prior iteration. It feels a little rushed. It feels a little congested. I think that's deliberate. They want it to be done by Labor Day, right? They want the playoffs to be like, I think the biggest winner is the PGA Tour for sure, right? They get the players in March. They're now like, the lead off big event, so to speak, in March. Not just that thing sandwiched between the Masters and the U.S. Open. And then, like, the biggest impact or the biggest benefit, I think, is getting the playoffs done by Labor Day, right? Not going head-to-head with college football or, NFL on Saturdays and Sundays in September, as their whole playoffs used to get, swallowed whole by football, as, you'd expect. So I think, like, that's the biggest benefit. And it might be cool to be done with that by Labor Day for us hardcore golf nerds. But I'm with you, like going through it, I kind of wish we still had something in August, the PGA in August. I got used to that old cadence, quite honestly. I think being done this week will feel a little weird. I don't think it matters much to the Open. It's still going to be what the Open's always been. But I think being done with majors is going to feel a little weird.
Yeah, great point by Brendan Porath. Of course, SB Nation, Shotgun Start podcast. See him on Morning Drive on Golf Channel in the mornings, and it is Morning Drive after all. They'll put it on at night. Brendan, as we look at the tournament then and the Open Championship field this week, Rory McIlroy, always a story in the majors, but certainly this week, his quote-unquote home course at Royal Portrush where he shot the 61, Northern Irish guy.
Yeah.
Is there a home course advantage for Rory this week, or will it go the other way where all of a sudden there's even more pressure on McIlroy that he takes ordinarily into majors?
Yeah, if you're asking me to choose a side, I think I would go with the latter. I think I would go the other way.
Yeah.
I don't know that he loves it. I don't know that he loves being home. I don't know that he loves being like, he's going to stay and do all the right things. And that's not to say he doesn't love his home. I think he loves his home, but I'm not sure he wants the whole attendance circus that comes with a major, first one in almost 70 years, being there, being at a course where he has this 61 on the docket, and we're seeing lots of kind of retrospectives on that. Feeling like, watching Rory, kind of trying to understand Rory over the last decade or so, I get a sense that he'd rather just be at, whatever, Royal Lytham or,
in Florida
Liverpool,
somewhere.
wherever else. Yeah. Or just, a Bell Reed PGA setup. Like, I think that's where he's more comfortable than I think he gets bothered because he is really generous with his time. Like, he's authentic. He is one of the few players who, if you ask him a question, he's thinking about it. Like, he's putting brain power and effort into answering it or saying the right thing that has some sort of actual meaning and isn't just a bunch of empty words. So I don't know. I think he's probably, I'm just guessing here. I don't have like inside information. You hear different things, but I think he's probably not crazy about being this host, so to speak, and having to do all the extra stuff that he might not if it were just an open elsewhere. But I think, that being said, he's probably, it's an experience, right? It's an experience that he's never had, that probably may not have again in his competitive career. It's been 70 years. So, do it once. Does that mean he's crazy about it and it's going to lead to his best golf? I'd say no.
Right.
Brendan, talking about circus and expectations and pressure, another big story this week is this guy named Tiger Woods is going to be teeing it up out there for the first time in a while. Hearing a lot of differing thoughts about his chances out there this week. Curious to hear what you think about him.
I'm not crazy about his chances, but I'm also not critical in the way that I've seen a lot of people. I think, Padraig Harrington said you can't be serious about winning an Open and not play before it. I think Paul McGinley said something like, Paul McGinley said he doesn't know what he's doing. Something must be amiss. What's wrong with Tiger? Paul Azinger said he's, too content since winning the Masters. I think that's it. Like, he won the Masters this year, and I don't think he ever thought he would get there again. And he's going to kick back and put his feet up for a little bit. And it's totally okay. And to be honest, even at the peak of his powers, he was rarely playing between the U.S. Open and the Open Championship.
Right.
He'd usually only play once. And in that case, it was often his own tournament that he hosted. The one in D.C., the former AT&T National / Quicken Loans National, rotation of events. So this is the time of the year where he wasn't playing much anyways. And I just think, I think he can be excused for maybe not being his old, psycho-competitive self because he won the Masters when he didn't think he'd ever win anything major again. Yeah. So I don't fancy his chances, but I'm also not critical of his approach for taking off since a couple peeps.
Yeah, it's a great point. And Brendan, as we wrap to close, looking at the field, you may have a winner that you feel really good about, but in terms of the type of golf that's going to succeed this week, certainly length always plays, whether you're your Bahamas, your Brooks Koepkas and Dustin Johnsons of the world. And then there's the ball striking group, quote unquote, Frankie Molinari, who won last year, Tommy Fleetwood's, Justin Rose type guys. What do you see as sort of the type of guy that's going to contend and win this week?
I think it's going to be like a ball striking ace, right? Like I think it's going to be a Molinari type. I don't know that you need to be an ace putter, I would say. That's usually how it goes on these links courses. Maybe you need to be a good lag putter if you're at St. Andrews or something like that. But I don't know that you need to be the ace putter to win an Open. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. It sounds like you need to have every shot shape. You need to have a draw. And all these guys, of course, have every shot shape. They're professional golfers. They play a game with which we're not familiar.
Right.
But I think the guys who can go to that as consistently and reliably, more so than others, is going to be the one. I think it's going to be a Molinari type. I don't necessarily think that means you have to be a bomber. I think it just means you need to be able to, smash it from right to left, smash it from left to right, low, high. So I think, and controlling the spin, like if the wind gets up and it doesn't sound like it's going to get too crazy, you need to be able to control, the spin on your ball. That's with the driver and certainly with your irons. Molinari does that really well. I really like a John Rahm type. I think he's a super talented. He's obviously regarded as a bomber often, but I think he's got that short swing and can hit every shot in the bag, and he just needs to putt okay, and he often does. Putts better than okay. So I like a Rahm. He's won the Irish Open before. Looked good in Spain. Looked good at the Irish Open again. He won it twice now.
Yeah.
So I think he's got form and kind of the style of golf that I love this week.
Yeah, I mean, John Rahm always looks good usually when he's playing golf. Brendan, as we close, so much of the favorite part about the Open is you got morning golf, man. It's the best. You wake up and you got morning golf all day, and you miss that, they'll do the replay. What's going to be your schedule this week? I know you have some golf work obligations, but are you going to stay up all night? Will it be, what's your Open Championship kind of approach?
Oh yeah, that's like the most fun part about this. I will be up for sure. Golf Channel now doesn't make it easy on you. It doesn't give you an out to I'll come on when the TV's on at 4 a.m. No, they're at 1:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
So for me, they're there from the first tee shot all the way through, which is usually 1:30 Eastern to 4 o'clock Eastern the following day. So I'll be up. It always varies. You switch from coffee to beer at some point. You go out late Wednesday. The play is usually get a late, post, work hours, rush hour nap Wednesday.
Yeah.
Then nap for a couple hours. Then go out to eat late. Make a late Wednesday night reservation. But don't, get some caffeine going, and then just power through that first day from 1:30 to 4 p.m. Crash at 4 p.m. and then you're on Open time. That's been the approach that I've found to be the most effective. It's a slog that first day, but it kind of flips you real fast.
We totally endorse that
That's
approach
a
here
strong
on Play It
approach,
Where It
big
Lies.
time.
Brendan Porath, get him on Twitter at Brendan Porath, SB Nation, Shotgun Start Podcast. See him on Golf Channel's Morning Drive as well. Brendan, thanks so much for spending time. Great stuff as always, and I know you're going to enjoy the Open Championship as much as we will this week, so we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot, bud.
Yeah, thanks.
It's Brendan Porath on Play It Where It Lies. We're brought to you by Gulf States Golf Cars, Highway 51 in Ridgeland. Go to gsgolfcars.com. And our new partner, Deerfield Golf Club in Gluckstadt, deerfieldgolf.club. He's Hacking Hank, Josh the Juice hanging out with us as well. I'm John Wiener. Stay tuned. More coming up on Play It Where It Lies.
Golf gives and takes away. We play it where it lies.
Bash Brothers Media, Play It Where It Lies, one of the best new shows in golf. Great stuff from Brendan Porath. The shows are a lot of really good every week, partly because we're able to bring on so many great guests like Brendan.
He's a convincing dude.
Yeah, I would say so. And I think our kind of dude, you know what I mean? That's what we really like about all the guys that we bring on, whether it's Shane Bacon or Brendan Porath or Jonathan Wall or Tom Coyne. It's everybody appreciates the golfing lifestyle. I mean, Brendan, you heard it.
I thought he said...
there were so many Bloody Mary references and beer references and the whole power nap and happy hour. I mean, Brendan's got it figured out.
He does. I thought he was going to say, when you asked him, I thought he was going to say, the move is to get up early and blah, blah, blah. Nah, he went right. Late dinner, a cup of coffee and some and get ready for a late night. I love it.
Yeah, so big thanks to Brendan for joining us. So we've got our punch-outs still to come, which will be our picks. We've got our 4 categories as we do in all the majors. We always have a lot of fun with that. I know y'all enjoy that as well. Real quick, an abbreviated Tough Lies segment, and everybody makes their golf trips, right? Or if you're lucky enough to get the opportunity as an American to go overseas and play links golf, it's the dream trip, and I encourage everybody, if you can do it once, whether it's Ireland or Northern Ireland or Scotland or England, get that experience.
Even if it's just for the Guinness and the pub food.
What is the toughest part of the American amateur of going over there and playing links golf? And for our dad, it was actually handling the pub food and the beer over and over and over again. That can be a deal when you travel. It's people aren't ready to eat the big breakfast 4 times a day and the constant drinking. That can wear you down.
And also, it's if you go to some of those little towns, that's the option. You can. There's not many other choices. You can't go have your quiet little Italian dinner. For me, it's got to be playing really bad golf. I think that we saw that time and time again, and caddies and people ever tell you, Americans with the whatever handicap are, much higher.
Right, you tell them you're
come
3,
up,
they'll just laugh at you on the tee,
It is really difficult, just in here, to have a long drive or a long flight, even in the United States, and to roll out and play good golf. When you do the time change and the style change, and you get in that long stuff, and you have a caddy for maybe that haven't played with a caddy much, it is really hard to play decent golf, and not to play decent golf, but it's really hard to not be much worse than you hope. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because your expectations are so high, you're so amped, you want to play. Yeah. I don't know if you want to play so well. Like, I'll get into that in a second, but you are. Your expectations are so high, and you're so amped. It's like the first time when we stayed at we stayed in Edinburgh, and you make a 2.5-hour drive to Carnoustie. It's your first round in Scotland. You make a 2-hour drive, and you got to hit that tee shot in the first hole. But it's like you're so excited, I could barely hold the club.
Yeah. It's. I don't think that you have to be a really, really experienced golfer to not have all of that stuff make you play a little worse. Right. And as you said, you get over there, you play these courses, you're paying top dollar, it's your dream trip. No one wants to play a little worse. It's so hard to not play worse. That's the hardest part for me.
And on top of that, because like when you ask me, like I don't remember Royal Portrush that much, it's because I was literally spending the whole day with your head down, looking in the fescue, and I think not only it's hard to play well. It can be even more difficult when you're not playing well, or that's the challenge, is to enjoy the course and to enjoy yourself. Or it's just like, it is hard sometimes when you're spending the entire day, because the fescue is so long over there. It's unlike anything we deal with here. Over here, when you hit it right or left, it's either off the course or you're going to find the ball. Yeah. Over there, it's like this constant, it can be, if you're not hitting it straight, it's just, you spend the entire day like a beagle dog, you know what I mean, kicking around in the fescue and looking at, and it can be hard to enjoy yourself, for one, when you're doing that the entire time, and it can be hard to sort of play the course and play it as you want to play it. Remember, you know what I mean? Sort of hit it in the fairway, hit it to the green. It's like, it can just be a real battle, and I don't think everyone is. I certainly wasn't. You're prepared to really just like your head is down and you're looking for your ball the entire day, and that can wear on you a little bit.
When you feel like you're blowing it, you have a bad day out, at your local course, or whatever. You have a bad day, you knock it around, you don't really care. You start fooling around, get loose, and have some fun out there. When it's your one time to play Turnberry, or it's like your one opportunity to play Carnoustie, and you're playing really bad, and you're miserable,
it'll make you want to cry.
Well, yeah, it was, because you feel like you're blowing this life experience. Right. You ruin it for yourself.
Right, and and you feel like you're ruining it for other people when you get you get paired up with other people, and you're just everything. It's just a search party the entire time. So I would just say, to close, easier said than done, but just throw the scorecard out. Yeah. Just don't even think about the scorecard. Yeah. People will want to have their numbers. It's hard for me to do, as you're a serious golfer, to not keep score. But especially if you're not hitting it straight, that way you don't have to worry about the ball. You know what I mean? You hit it in the fescue, don't even look for it. You just throw another one down and play it from where you want to. I think the best thing over there is, if you can, divorce yourself from the score and how many, in the first place.
Yes, try to take it in. Stand in the middle of the fairway, even if your ball's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like it can be so much that I've seen a lot of people adopt, and I did this at times. When you start hitting it super sideways, it's like you don't even start, it's like you quit looking for them, and it's like, that's a little, you don't want to just shell $6 golf balls in the weeds, you know what I mean? But
it's all part of it.
Yeah.
That's why you got to make the trip. It's an incredible experience. If you haven't done it yet, make it happen. Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Get over there.
Well, one thing that they won't be doing at Royal Portrush is spending their whole time running out of golf balls like you did, or with their head down in the fescue the whole time like I did. So as we come up on our Punch-Out segment, it's time to make our picks. And we've got our same categories.
Ready.
All right, we've got our same categories with a little bit of an Irish twist. We've got our blow-up bloke. the guy who it's normally our flopping favorite, but this
Love
week,
it.
because we're at the
Love it.
Open Championship, our blow up bloke. His day Sunday will be the guy that we know will be there on Sunday afternoon. Above their weight will be our dark horse to ride. It's one of my favorite,
Beef Johnston section?
English saying. It could be Beef Johnson, who's going to punch above their weight this week and make a move from back of the pack. And of course, who will be our champion golfer of the year. That's coming up in Punch Outs on Play It Where It Lies.
Golf puts you in tough spots. We play it where it lies.
2019 Open Championship preview show. I'm Hack and Hank, John Wiener. Time for our picks.
Punch out. Let's do it. Blow up bloke. So this is the guy among the favorites who will not be there on Sunday. Is going to blow up this week. Who you got?
Pains me to say this. My blow up bloke is Rory McIlroy. I just think that this guy has so much internal
He's good
pressure.
for this category every week, man.
He really is, and it's funny because as much, sort of as we lay on Rory, he's having a phenomenal season right now. I mean, he's having one of the best seasons of his career without having won the major. He's I think he's the number one golfer this season right now. So. It's a little unfair to say that he's, playing bad golf, but I just think the internal pressure, the external pressure, just hard to see Rory not blowing up. And I tell you what, I heard somebody say, and I'm going to agree with them, this first round is going to be really important for him.
It's so true. It's a good call.
If he goes low early, look out. If he struggles in the first round and the questions start coming and the rough sleep at night starts coming, he's going to be out of there, and I'm afraid that the pressure is just going to be too much for young Rory.
And this is a guy who right now, when we're taping this is 8-1. He's the favorite and the clear-cut favorite over Koepka and Johnson at 10-1. Yeah. I'm gonna. Although I said I know in Play It, Drop It, Roll It that I think Tiger has a chance to contend. If you ask me between Tiger and Rory, who's more likely to have a good week, I think it's Rory. I think who would be the safer bet, as you said, you wouldn't be surprised if Tiger didn't make the cut. I think for all of these reasons, if I have to pick between a top 6 or 7 guys, Tiger at 18-1 is a top 5 favorite. I'm gonna go with the blow up bloke. Although I think everybody hopes that Tiger and Rory both play well this week, but I'll go with Tiger.
Okay, next up, his day Sunday. Who's a surefire lock to be there on Sunday?
I like Justin Rose at 20-1. I wanted to go with Tommy Fleetwood here because I think he'll play well. But I mean, this is classic Justin Rose, right? He's there all Sunday, and I say he never wins. You know what I mean? 41 years old. He's been, at that level for a while and just never gets it done on Sunday. But he is right there on Sunday usually. I think the golf course, both Rose's length, his ball striking ability, don't have to be a fantastic putter. I think Justin Rose is a good bet to be in contention.
Justin Rose sucks.
Yeah, but he's always there on Sunday.
There.
I'm with you. I think he's the most overrated player in golf. Steely competitor. He's got as many majors as Webb Simpson and Keegan Bradley.
Do you know that Rory McIlroy and Brooks Koepka have the same number of majors right now?
Yeah.
Poor Rory. Okay, my guy on Sunday is going to be Adam Scott.
I like that.
I really like this
that a
pick.
lot.
He's playing so well recently. His putting has really improved. He seems to be in a really good mental space. I saw a great quote from him earlier today talking about how he's really stopped trying to focus so much on the mechanics of his swing, really work on quote unquote rhythm and fun. And when I hear a guy like Adam Scott talking about rhythm and fun,
look out,
yeah. Man. I'm all on
I like that one.
Adam Scott this week.
A guy who's had his hand on the claret jug a couple of times. You talk about leading at St. Andrews, the Open that you talked about. And when you go back to the Open that Ernie Els won, Adam Scott, had a 4-shot lead with 4 holes to play, and it was kind of weird how it got away from him. But the ball striking that we saw from Adam Scott that week was as an impressive. I vividly remember Scott hitting drive after drive on the sprinkler head. Yeah. They literally went over the sprinkler head 3-4 times in a row, and then it just kind of loose shot here, there. But Scott has had his hand on that jug, man, and has played in this tournament as well as anybody. I think it's a great one.
Yeah.
Above their weight. Who's going to punch above their weight? Come from back of the pack? The dark horse to ride of sorts? It's going to be tough to get above this guy's weight. Mark Leishman, 60-1. I like Big Leash. He's kind of on form, and I think he hits the ball low. He can work it both ways. Good ball striker, hits it pretty long. In terms of, I like Rafa Cabrera Bello at 80-1, but Leishman 60-1. I like that. I'm gonna go with Mark Leishman punching above his weight. Big Leash.
Big Leash.
They call me Big Leash.
That's a pretty mediocre call, but I will say
You're
that
mediocre. Your whole thing is mediocre.
We'll see. Okay, Josh is writing
No,
this
I mean
down.
like your whole existence.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about your picks. Like the whole thing.
Okay.
You're mediocre.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of above their weight, this worked out really well because I'm going to pick a guy who suddenly has a little less weight to punch above. I'm talking about 110-1 Phil Mickelson. Whoa! I'm telling you what. Have you seen the video? Woo! 15 pounds. He's on that water and wellness shake diet.
Mickelson's 110
He's
to 1?
110-1.
Yeah, but Phil has zero shot
Yeah,
to play this course well. Like, it's not happening.
He's my guy. I just think that. I
like that.
You know, he's if you're looking for a big number out there, I mean, I had Graham McDowell. You know, he's playing well. He got in.
That's
he's
a
winning.
cliche pick.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Phil.
Yeah,
Phil. He's gonna punch above his weight.
Champion golfer of the year. Who's gonna hold the claret jug?
Whew, me first? Okay, I might surprise you a little bit, but this goes back to what we talked about before about the type of course that Portrush is. It's not a skinny course. This is not Royal Birkdale. This is not shoving a 2-iron up a bee's you-know-what. I mean, this is going to be...
Drive it up a gnat's ass, as Jonathan Randolph said about the refuge fairways.
This is not that course. This is a big bombers course. I'm taking it right now. My man... Dustin Johnson,
DJ!
baby, winning the whole thing. It's perfect
I
for
hope
him.
you're right.
It's perfect for him. Nobody's talking about him. He comes in. He doesn't have any expectations like Koepka. He's got no expectations like Rory. He's right there. He hits it big.
I like it.
I think he has fun. Mark it down.
I like it.
Dustin Johnson.
And DJ, a guy, you know, it's like he's contended in a lot of open championships. Muirfield, where we were, he was there. St. Andrews, he walked across it, you know, for 2 days. Like we said, the one Darren Clark won, that's in Johnson's litany of like chokes because that shot that he hit on the back nine on Sunday was so bad in such a tough spot. So I'm all about that. Yeah. But, you know, so like DJ's a guy, his game plays everywhere, you know, with his touch and his length. And you're going to go Dustin Johnson for champion golfer. I think it's going to be the same guy from a year ago. I think Frankie Molinari puts back-to-back on the board. You heard Brendan mention Molinari 3-4 times. You can tell he likes him. I think that it is a long golf course, but I think the way it's going to wear on these guys and what it will demand over 4 days of consistency of how you hit the ball. Not hitting it far. Molinari hits it plenty far, but hitting it hard, being able to hit it both ways and really command your golf ball. And we know how clutch Molinari can be. I think it's going to be a European kind of weekend. I think it's going to be a lot of flavor. Molinari, Fleetwood, Brendan like John Rahm. But I think Frankie Money is our repeat Open champion.
Wow, calling for the repeat win for Frankie Money.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, we've
sort of.
I mean, well, we've seen Molinari, and again a year ago, what a great duel that was, staring down Tiger, and Molinari hasn't backed off really from that form, and I think it's going to be Molinari on Sunday. But you know how hard it is to pick a winner. You know, it's literally putting a needle in the haystack. Yep. But I know one thing is for sure: no matter who wins this tournament on Sunday, who's drinking Guinness from the claret jug on Monday morning, it's going to be a hell of a week.
Oh man, I am really excited. I've got my Brendan schedule all laid out like him.
Absolutely.
I'm ready to follow his advice.
I love Brendan's line, the Open's on a heater. It totally is right now.
It is, man, and I'm ready for another one. Yeah.
Well, we hope we brought some heat here on Play It Where It Lies. Big thanks to Brendan for joining us. Thank you for queuing us up as well. You can get it every week on Bash Brothers Media, all of our online to watch the show. And then, of course, if you're listening, on all of your podcast platforms. We missed Stuart the Gent. Yeah. Hoping Stuart has some safe travels back. Hack and Hank, absolute pleasure as always. And this is and was Play It Where It Lies. Enjoy the Open Championship.
Thanks for joining Play It Where It Lies. Tee it up with us every week at Bash Brothers Media. Driven by Gulf States Golf Cars.